Do you remember how we played, how I played?
Not
So
really.
who cares? The most important in sport is to win. It's the same for Indonesia. I'm sorry for that, you know, guys. But no, honestly, that's the truth. If you want to forget politic things like this, you know, inside the team, victory, you know, for me, it's the most important. So if you ask the players, what do you choose? Do you want to win or do you want to lose, but in a good way? They all will tell you the answer, the same answer. We want to win. We don't want to be the beautiful loser, you know.
Your former teammate in Barcelona, Patrick Kluivert, is now managing the national team, right?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask me the question. I knew that. You're so predictable.
Hi Manu, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We don't talk enough about the brain health and the long-term effect on cognitive health on football players. What's your perspective on this issue?
Well, they contacted me 8 months ago, and after a Zoom call, I said yes straight away. I want to work with you because it's a big concern for me, for former players, but as well for players nowadays, you know, in the football industry. Not only in football, but I think in every single sport that use head, you know, box, rugby, you know, MMA, things like this. But for human being in general, I think, because billions of people will be suffering, you know, from brain health in the future. So I think it's very important for every one of us.
You know, there's a study that suggests there's a link between hitting the ball frequently, you know, and brain injury
from the young age.
From the young age, yeah. But you know that heading is a substantial part of playing football, right?
Of course, you can change the rules.
Exactly. So, what's need to be done to protect players, you know, to avoid this kind of thing?
I understand. I think we need to find the right balance. We all know that financially there is a big things, you know, in football nowadays. You know, wages are huge, sponsors, you know, TV rights, everything it's amazing, especially in Europe, you know. So I understand, you know, the situation, you know, from the FIFA, from UEFA as well, from every different championship, you know, in the world. I can understand that. I can understand as well the pressure from the doctors and the staff, you know, inside the clubs, federation, you know. I think Braineye is a tool that can help them, you know, to find the right balance, you know. We're not there, you know, to stop players to play. We're just here, you know, to help, you know, the medical staff, you know, to protect the players, you know. That means, you know how you use a Braineye, you know. It's like a thermometer, you know. Thermometer gives you the result if you have a fever or not, but doesn't give you the cause of it. And I think Braineye is the same. So if you use Braineye even as a professional footballer or professional sportsman, and you have a problem, it doesn't mean you won't stop playing or doing your sport, but it will help you, you know, to prevent, you know, big troubles in the future.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty encouraging that this kind of awareness, you know, is being raised in football because usually people are not aware. If you're talking about boxing, it's talking about rugby. There's a blatant contact between heads there, but not really in football, right? Not really in football. And talking about football in general, you know, how has modern football evolved in terms of tactics and strategy nowadays compared to your playing days before?
Well, I think it's becoming, I think, more and more tactical, you know, the football. I think back in days it was probably more direct. I think even the data, you know, are becoming very important. The staff of the manager, you know, there are probably 15, 20%, you know, working every single day with the players. Back in days, you know, we had probably 4 or 5%, you know, with the manager. So it's completely different, I think. They are more like Formula Uno, you know.
Yeah.
And everything is precise, you know. The diet, the sleeping, the training. Now they're recording the training session, you know, via the you know, the cameras, you know, in the air. So they put as well GPS on players, you know, on training stations. So I would have loved to play that time, you know, right now, because I think I've been a different player. You know, I will probably manage to do things differently, you know, on the pitch, but outside the pitch as well. So I think there is no comparison on a few things, you know, with what we've done so far back in days.
Yeah, because I think looking back at your playing days, I think you're the archetype of the modern footballers these days, right? You combine, you know, physical prowess, speed, and then
intelligence
as well.
Technical skills.
Of course. Because back in the days, players are separated between the one with muscles and the one with creativity. But but you're like the perfect combination of
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, and we're looking back at the French midfield in 1998.
Yeah.
I think we got Zizou there, you got you, we got Karambou, and then we got Deschamps.
Deschamps,
right? Yeah. And I think they could play, you could play at these days and still excel. What's different between that day and today if compared to the midfield players?
I'm not sure I'm a good example of it because I used to play 4 or 5 different positions on the team. So I could play, you know, central defenders on the left-hand side, left defenders as well. So I could play different positions, but you know, the number 10 position has disappeared. It's not there anymore. Yeah. So tactically, you know, managers are trying, you know, to develop new skills, you know, new tricks as well. So I think it's becoming more and more, you know, in terms of intelligence. You know, I think Pep Guardiola has revolutioned the game, you know, so far and deeply. You know, you could see that so many teams try to play the same way that City has played for the last 6 or 7 years. Even the national team, you know, they all try to play the same way. But I think there is 3 things, you know, in football, actually. Everything is based on being fast thinking, fast planning, fast acting. Everything is fast. So you have to do everything fast. This is why I think this is probably different with what we've done in the past. It was more based on technical skills in the past. And we had more, I think, technical players, you know, on the pitch that what you could see actually.
Yeah, because the football becomes more rigid. You know, some people said it's more boring these days compared to the 80s and the 90s,
because everybody prepare themselves the same way.
Exactly.
There is no gap anymore. So even when you play against small team, it's becoming tough because they are really physically and mentally. So you have to prove that you're better players, you know, technically, but in terms of how you use the ball, how you move on the pitch as well altogether. So it's becoming more intelligent as well. So, and the fact is, top players and top teams, you know, in the world, they're playing so many games during the season that sometimes they get tired mentally and physically when they play against small team. So the gap is not that huge that it used to be, you know, back in days.
Yeah, and Indonesia, you're famous for 2 things. You know,
I know.
The first one is your ponytail, right?
I still have the ponytail.
Yeah, and that's the first question I asked. Does Manu still have the ponytail? Yeah, he does. And the second one, of course, your goal, right? Your goal against Brazil. Against Brazil. Can you walk us what's going through your mind when you had that corner and score and, you know, ensure that France got the World Cup?
I think you won't believe me if I tell you. Because when I was a young guy, I was playing with my brother and my friends, you know. It was such a long time ago. And we were playing outside the building, you know, football. And all of a sudden I stopped playing and I thought about something. I had that kind of premonitions. And I said it, you know, a couple of years after that, when I started to realize that I could become a professional footballer. I said it in the newspapers. And that was before France was named to organize, you know, the World Cup in 1998. So I said in the newspapers that one day France will will organize the World Cup at home, and then they will win the World Cup beating Brazil in final 2-0. So during that game, we were leading the score 2-0. I dropped as a central defender after starting as a midfield player because Marcel Desailly was sent off. And a couple of minutes before the end of the game, I remember myself shouting, you know, screaming at Franck Leboeuf, my fellow player, you know, alongside me in central defender. And can imagine the noise, in the stadium. 80,000 people, shouting, celebrating, the World Cup. We were so close to win the World Cup, to touch the trophy, And I was screaming at him. I was saying, Frank, Frank. He looked at me and said, what? So we could barely, hear each other. And I said to him, listen, Frank, we are going to win the World Cup. We're leading the score 2-0 up. And my dream is coming through. He said, what? And he said, shut up, Manu. We still have a game to play, still a couple of minutes, before the end of the game. So can you imagine that after that, 2 minutes after that, we had a corner, defensive corner. If I remember well, it was Christophe Dugarry who got the ball. And I don't know why, but a voice in my mind, just told me that at that moment, Manu, go. Like a crazy horse, go. I had no reason to leave defensively because we were leading on score. It was 2 minutes before the end of the game. We were almost so close to win the trophy. I could stay, behind and to secure the defense. But a voice in my mind said to me, Manu, go, let's go. And then when I saw Christophe taking the ball and I saw Patrick Kluivert, he just came into the game, as a substitute. That remember me, what we did together with Arsenal when we won the double 3 weeks before the World Cup. So I thought to myself, Manu, go until the end. And Patrick gave me the ball, and you know what happened afterwards. So I was not meant, to score goals. I was meant to give assists, and sometimes, occasionally, I used. But probably, I had the chance to score goals. But this one, I don't know why, but I think it came from
up there.
Yes, I think it's my brother, He was watching me, because he was dead on the pitch and I was on a mission, before the World Cup. That's the reason why I reached the top, during my career, because the X factor, was always inside of me. Before the game, during the game, and after the games. I was thinking about my brother, about my family. So this is how I became who I am, actually.
And you scored 2 goals, right, in the World Cup, right?
Yes, against Denmark as well.
Denmark. And it's a winning goal.
That's a winning goal. It was an important goal because I gave the ball to the Danish, on the free kick, to the Lauder brothers, They were so good, damn. And they used it, and they fooled us, and we did a penalty just a couple of seconds afterwards, and I felt guilty. And this is why, I did everything in this game, to get back in the game. And I did score that goal, and it was very important for us to win against Denmark in a group stage, because if we didn't, we probably had to play against Brazil.
Much earlier, right?
Yeah. So who knows what happened afterwards.
Yeah. And in that French squad in 1998, there's a player that, up to this day, still subject to a debate between football fans, right?
Who's
Stefan
that?
Giffard.
Yeah. Stefan.
The striker. Because back then, people are used to see strikers have to score goals. But Stefan Giffard had a different role. He had a different purpose, right? Yeah, and, playing alongside him, as somebody who's on the pitch with him, what can you say about Stefan Giffard?
Well, I think that was very difficult for him, to handle the critics and what happened after the World Cup. And I don't know if you remember as well Christophe Dugarry scoring the first goal against South Africa. Do you remember the celebration of it?
Yeah.
What he did, with his tongue, in front of the crowd, especially the journalists. They were all sitting there, and he did that, It was like a message saying that thank you very much for what you've said about me, for all your support. In return, I give you what I think. I think Stefan Giffard, he's been through kind of same things, kind of same situation, because winning the World Cup with the best attack and the best defense, I think we scored 13 or 14 goals, something like that, during the World Cup, and we conceded only 3 goals. And but most of the strikers, they didn't score during the World Cup. So it was hard for them, to handle the situation. So He received a lot of critics, Stefan, about that, and I feel sorry for that, And for me, he was part of the team. He did everything he could, to score goals. He had many situations during the final against Brazil. He was probably missing confidence because of the critics. This is not the reason, but I think we are human beings before being footballers, and sometimes we have feelings and sometimes difficult to handle the situation.
Yet he's still a World Cup winner anyway, right?
He's a World Cup winner.
Yeah. You won the World Cup, you won the Euro.
Yeah.
Which one is stronger, you think?
Euro.
I think so too, yeah. Because you guys are more stylish, more entertaining there, yeah? You're like at the peak of your strength there.
Well, starting with Zinedine Zidane, I think he saved the World Cup, his World Cup, scoring 2 goals in a final, but he was sent off, against Saudi Arabia. He was not that good during the World Cup, but he saved the World Cup, But during the European tournament in 2000, I think he was amazing. Honestly, he was, I think he was at the pinnacle of his game. He was unplayable, unpredictable on the pitch. He was so gifted, technically. I always said that that kind of players, are unique. I think I was a very good player, but Zizou was part with, he belongs with Pelé, with Messi, with those kind of players, You cannot learn what they could do, on the pitch, because they were born like this. That was in their blood, in their skin, under their skin, They were born like that. So I think Zizou, during the European tournament, he was at his pinnacle of his game. He was unplayable. And I think the European tournament was, for me, bigger and stronger than the World Cup in 1998, because the level of the opponents, God, and the pressure as well, because we heard so many critics before the World Cup in 1998 from the French press. Thank you very much, guys. That was very helpful. And they like me, and
of course,
me too. I love you. And so we received a lot of critics, and a lot of people, they were saying that we didn't deserve to win the World Cup because we didn't play that well. I mean, I disagree with that, because it was hard, to win the World Cup, especially at home with the pressure, But because of that, we were on a mission, all of us. We thought, okay, they didn't appreciate the World Cup in France. It was much more appreciated, outside France. But I think if we want the recognition of our own country and from our press, the French press, then we have to win the European tournament, which is a level probably more difficult, to reach. And we did it. It was like an X factor, for us. We were focused on winning every single game, because every single opponent we had to play was a tough game,
Yeah, and you guys were trailing in the final against Italy, right?
You have no idea.
Until Wiltro scored and then
I have no idea.
The golden goal.
It was like a Hitchcock movie,
It was scary.
I mean, I didn't play that game. The day before, I wanted to train with the national team, but I couldn't walk up the stairs. Had malaria, I had fever. So I couldn't felt my legs anymore, and I was crying in the dressing room. But the day of the final, I remember very well, because Italians, they were leading the score. It was always tough, to play against Italians. Always tactical, always, trying to take a piece of you on the pitch, trying to get you off of your mind all the time. And it was difficult to handle. They were leading the score, and we were so close, to get a fight on the bench with them, And they were celebrating every single actions and occasions, and we were struggling, And I think Aimé Jacquet did a great substitution as well, and we had this mental strength, to come back into the game, and those guys, they were magnificent on the pitch. It was a great game to watch from outside, very intense. It was a fierce battle, you know, on the pitch. But after we scored, you know, the second goal, you know, with David Trezeguet, I look at the ground very quickly, you know, and I saw all the Italian fans. They were in despair, you know. They were like, oh God, silence. Just like, I don't know how to describe this, but it was unbelievable to watch. And this is why I love football for many reasons, but this is one of the reasons, the emotion.
The emotions, right.
This is a shock, you know, bang, in your head.
Yeah, nobody saw it coming for them. In other things, you know, you had such a glittering career with Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then you left Arsenal for Barcelona.
Yeah.
And several months ago, there's a video clip, you know, going viral here in Indonesia because you said in that interview that you left Arsenal for Barcelona because of a woman.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things in football, you know. You make football decisions.
I love women.
Based by non-footballing reasons.
That's my weakness.
Does that kind of thing happen often in football, you think?
I'm too sensitive, you know. I'm too passionate about human being and about life in general. I love football, but I think I prefer life. And I always a strong link, you know, with women, you know. I love women. I respect them so much, you know. And but that was always, and that is probably my weakness, you know. And yes, I did leave Arsenal, not because of only for that reason, you know, for women, but yeah, back in days, yeah, I was in love with a woman and who decided to move because she and I wanted probably to live another experience, you know, under the sun in Barcelona, and I wanted to finish my career with a club that could give me the opportunity to win the Champions League, the only trophy I never won. And so I won't say that she is responsible for that, because I am the one who takes responsibility for everything, but I have to deal with it.
You know, because football fans don't see this kind of thing, right? Because they see football players as superheroes on the pitch. Yeah. Sometimes they forget that, you know, footballers like you also have personal lives, and it affects your performance, right, on the pitch, right? Yeah. I remember, you know, a while ago, Angel Di Maria in Man United.
Yeah.
He had such a strong half season, and then his house got robbed.
Yes.
And then his performance declined.
Yes.
You know,
just like some players in England as well.
Yeah. And you know, how did you,
it does
as a
have
footballer,
an
right?
impact, you know, on players, you know.
How did you manage, you know, to balance your performance on the pitch
but, I
with
mean,
your life?
You don't have to be a football player for that, you know. I suppose, I don't know if you're married. I'm not going to ask you a personal question, but you're a human being, right? So you have feelings, emotions. So I'm going to tell you one thing that Arsene Wenger taught me, you know, when I started as a player in Monaco, you know, because I lost my brother, I lost my best friend, he committed suicide, I lost my grandfather, I was very close to him, so I went through a very difficult time back in days when I was a child, when I was at the Monaco Academy, and one day he came to me, Arsene, and I really, at the beginning of my career, you know, he said, Manu, if you want to discover what kind of player you want to be on the pitch, you have to discover what kind of human being you want to be. So I think we all have emotions, but the problem is, because of the money and the celebrity, people are so focused on that, even more now, that they forget that there is a human being behind that. They are only focused on numbers, you know. And this is the world we're living in. So, but they are human beings. So if you're not happy in your life, how can you be happy on the pitch?
Yeah, you cannot separate, you know, those two
can
sides,
you?
right? I cannot. Nobody can.
I don't have this part. Some people, I've seen some people, you know.
They're able to do that?
Yes, they can separate things, you know, but they are rare, you know. It's 10% of the population on this planet. But the rest of humanity, you know, we cannot separate things. If we're not happy at home, how can we be happy at work? It's, for me, it's very difficult, you know.
I want to touch a bit about Arsenal. You guys at Arsenal, you included, won a lot of cups and titles there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And playing such an attractive football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why cannot Arsenal, achieve the same thing post Wenger? You think?
Post Arsene?
Yeah.
Well, when it's like Alex Ferguson when he left Manchester United. Look at Manchester United. Okay, they won some titles with Mourinho, but since then there have been changes, managers, players, things like this, even owners. At Arsenal, it's quite the same. When Arsene left, the legacy, was a little bit too heavy, and I think the last 2-3 years before he left the club, I think the team was going down as well. So it was hard, to fill up the gap, the legacy he left at the club. So some manager came with Unai Emery to start with him. And then Miguel Arteta came, and he had this vision, because he was working with as an assistant, at City with Pep Guardiola. And because he's Spanish, and they are very good, Spanish managers. And I think the identity of what he wanted to do on the pitch was probably something that you've seen so far at Manchester City every single day. But it was very hard at the beginning for Mikel Arteta. And he received so much criticism, But I'm very happy that the board stood, with him and the staff. And they gave him the confidence he needed, to work with the players. And he had a vision, and step by step, after 2-3 years, the DNA of Arsenal came back. You could see that on the pitch. I've seen so many great games, from Arsenal. The way they have evolved all together, individually, but as well collectively, was such great things to watch from outside. I was so proud. I'm still proud of what Arteta has done at the club. He brought back Arsenal where they belong, And I think they still have a big margin in front of them to improve still. So I hope he will stay at the club. But, in football, if you want to keep the confidence of your players, you need to win silverware. This is something very important. Those guys have been working all together for years now, without winning anything except a FA Cup, I think 3 or 4 years ago. They've been fighting for the Premier League with Liverpool, but as well with Manchester City in the past, without winning anything at the end of the season. So if you want to keep the belief and the confidence from your players, you need to win something at the end of the season. This is for me very important. Otherwise, you're going to lose that. And the players won't do the same efforts every single day. They won't show the same concentration, every single game. I think they need to strengthen the team, the options, for the rotation. When you play a Champions League, the Premier League, the demands of the Premier League is so high, are so high, mentally and physically. So that's why I think they need to add more quality players, and to help Arteta to make more rotation, during the season. We have seen the same story and repeating herself, every single season. At the same moment. Injury players, big injury players, just like Saka, for example, from the last December. He's been missing so much now. And with the fact that they don't play with strikers anymore most of the time, actually. So I hope Arsenal will take the right decision within the next few months, especially the next transfer windows, in summer. They know what they have to do. They have the money for this. It depends of if they can keep all the players right now, and I'm not sure about that.
There's also an ongoing discourse within the football fans, because do the team have the obligation to entertain as well as to win? Because this so-called beautiful football sometimes, it's become a focus of the debate, including here in Indonesia as well. What do you think as a former football player?
Well, when you play at Barcelona, it's the case. Otherwise, people, they show up their tissue and they say fuera, fuera, fuera means change, or sack him or whatever, In Barcelona, you have to play well and you have to win. But most of the time, history tells you that you are remember, you know, in the history for the victory you did. And just like right now, you know, we're in 2025.
We're talking about your victories, right?
Yes, back in days in 1998. Do you remember how we played, how I played?
Not
So
really.
who cares? I mean, the most important in sport is to win. It's the same for Indonesia. I'm sorry for that, you know, guys. But no, honestly, that's the truth. If you want to forget politic things like this, you know, inside the team, victory, you know, for me it's the most important. So if you ask the players, what do you choose? Do you want to win or do you want to lose, but in a good way? They all will tell you the answer, the same answer. We want to win. We don't want to be the beautiful loser, you know. I mean, who remember the beautiful loser? Nobody. I prefer to be an ugly winner than a beautiful loser. No?
Am I right? That's a quotable phrase.
Come on, guys.
That's something for the headline. Something for the headline. Last question, Manu. Your former teammate in Barcelona, Patrick Kluivert, is now managing the national team, right?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me the question. I knew that. You're so predictable.
I had to make sure before this interview, you know, your career intersected. Oh yeah, it did intersect, right? Yeah. Any words for him?
Ugly winner.
Any words for Patrick Kluivert?
Well, I wish him all the best. I think it's a huge task. You know, Indonesia is such a huge country, guys. You are what, 300 millions?
Almost 300.
Ah, come on, 300 millions.
No, okay.
Okay.
Make it 300.
With your kids coming, it's going to be 300 millions. Well, I wish him all the best, you know. I know that they brought some Dutch players, you know, because they're originally from Indonesia. FIFA rules are changed, so thanks for that, you know. I know it's a big concern here in Indonesia, you know. I'm not going to talk about politics, what happened, you know, in the past, you know. I'm not here for that. I'm talking only about football. And as I said, I was at the game against Australia. They lost 5-1. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did.
I was at the stadium. I thought to myself, they were unlucky, Indonesia, you know. The first 15 minutes, they should have scored at least one goal, you know. They missed the penalty, and then the goalkeeper made a great save, you know, from the header. The first 15 minutes, they were under control. They controlled the rhythm, they controlled the ball, they were putting pressure on Australia. Australia, they were so, you know, they were like this on the pitch. And all of a sudden, you know, this is how football works. It punishes you when you don't take the opportunity to score. And that was exactly what happened during that game. The first time, or probably the second time they came into the penalty area, penalty for Australia, they scored that goal. And all of a sudden, the composure from Indonesia changed. The confidence was gone. They were not there anymore. They make silly mistakes individually, in terms of position, the movement as well, on the pitch. The composure of the team was gone. But I thought to myself, 5-1 is hard to take. When you look at the game, I think Australia were very clinical in front of the goal. So I think Indonesia, they have to understand that that was the first game for Patrick Kluivert on his staff. So gave me the chance. I heard so many things, you know, after the game here in Indonesia. So many fans, they were asking him, the federation to sack him straight away. Hey guys, come on, that's the first game. Come on, I know. It came, you know, in the middle of the way, you know. I think the former manager was doing a good job as well, the South Korean guy. He did great things, you know, with Indonesia. So you have to understand that in football, things doesn't happen like this, you know. It takes time sometimes, but Indonesia doesn't have time, which means they have to win against Bahrain. They have to win the next game as well against China. And who knows, maybe Japan for the last game, they will change the first 11 and they will probably send the second team, you know, against Indonesia. But they had to stick actually on the table because the fourth position gave them the opportunity as well for the qualification game. So sooner or later, if things change in Indonesia, I mean, at the moment, they are all focusing on the national team. But my advice, you're 300 millions. You have millions of young people. They love football. They want to become professional footballer. You have to change sometimes things, you know, politically in your country. You have to work from the grassroots.
We have to
you have to develop step by step. It takes a long time, you know, to develop yourself, you know. But come on, it's worth it, you know. You have to do it, definitely. Sure. Follow my advice. Do that, and you'll see, you know, in the future what Indonesia can be able to do, you know, on the group stage.
Take that advice from the World Cup winning.
This is what we've done, you know, in France. You know, we've been working like this for the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah, we need our own Clairefontaine, right? We need the training of excellence, right?
Clairefontaine is only for the national team. It's an academy as well. Yeah. But every single club, you know, you develop professionally, you know, every single club in Indonesia. But in the meantime, every professional club have an academy. And then it's linked with amateur, you know, grassroots. So step by step, from down the grassroots until the end, everything is linked. So you will see, if you do that, you will get results, trust me.
Such a word of advice from Emmanuel Petit.
Politically, you have to change. Follow my advice.
Yeah.
And if you do so, you will win.
And win, no matter how ugly it is, right?
Come on. As I said, I prefer to win ugly than lose beautifully.
Yeah, let's end it on that high note, because I think that's, you know, that's quote gonna go, you know, round the ways here in Indonesia. Thanks, Manu, for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Pleasure.